this is Nayella. Thank you so much for joining me again today. So today I'm going to be sharing with you about boundaries and really why we have that yucky, horrible feeling sometimes, or we feel bad when we have to maintain our boundaries or set boundaries or put boundaries in place, and what to do about it. I've got a little bit of a structured action plan for anybody who is in that place of knowing that it's time to step up and put some boundaries in place so that your relationship is healthier with that other person or those other people. So very often when it comes to putting boundaries in place, we have all kinds of fears. We have abandonment issues coming forward. It may be met with anger or abuse or control issues. And that can prevent us from actually speaking up and making it clear to that other person or those other people how we feel. I want you to think about this question. Do you abandon your needs for others? Very often when we are a very empathic person or a very sensitive person, we can slip into people pleaser mode. We want to do right by others, we want to keep the peace, and it's a lot easier just to abandon ourselves and keep other people happy than to actually voice how we feel or voice our concerns or voice our needs. It's okay to let other people down if it means that you stop abandoning yourself. Because again, if we are not putting these healthy boundaries in place, we are abandoning ourselves. We are not allowing our needs to be met. And often we can get into very abusive situations because we are not voicing how we feel and what works for us and what is right for us. We're all very different and we've all experienced very different things. So unless we actually verbally express that to the other person, very likely the other person's not going to know where we're coming from unless they've got a little bit of background there. So, sometimes in therapy, when you're working with another person, when you are, very empathic and very loving, often you'll hear somebody say something that traumatized them, or they went through something, on the terms of abuse, and you want to reach out and hug them. But, think about it, if that person had an issue where people had touched them in abusive ways and they still had a lot of trauma there that needed to be dealt with, just the you touching them, reaching out and touching them may trigger something that is going to spark, a lot of remembering or images, that they don't really want to be, dredging through at that particular time. So as far as all to be on the same page, you don't just go into somebody else's space without permission. Ask first, is it okay for me to hug you right now? Or would you like a hug right now? And if the other person says yes, then give them a hug. If they say no, then respect that boundary. You step away and you help them in another way. Now, when we have got family and children, they have this sense of entitlement. They feel entitled to our energy. They feel entitled to our physical space, to our body. But again, if you are in that place where you are not wanting to be jumped all over by a child, or you are not in that place where you can give fully to another person energetically, physically, verbally, whatever it is, sexually, whatever it is, then speak up and make it clear you don't want that to be happening to you right now. So you're setting a boundary, and then everybody is on the same page. Just because you've got children doesn't mean that you automatically become a climbing frame for them 24/7. You're entitled to your own space and your own time as well. And likewise, when you're in like a romantic relationship or another relationship, you are entitled to your own space and your own time in that relationship. So whatever it is, just think about it and ask yourself that question. That is a gauge there. Do you abandon your needs for others? And if the answer is yes, then you need to think about, why you are doing that and what you can do to prevent that from happening moving forward. Because we don't want you to disappear into this tiny little speck. You are important, you are significant. So, come back into your energy, claim your space, empower yourself, and make it clear to others where your boundaries lie, so that you're not abandoning yourself. And remember, it's okay to let others down, so you can stop abandoning yourself. So let's move on to the boundary bit now. So I want you might want to jot it down or just mentally take note of this. So the name of that person or the people, get clear about who it is that you're going to be setting this boundary with. Also the boundary. What is the boundary that you want to set here? And why? And then your action steps. So how? So we're going to do a little bit of inquiry here, just to get further and deeper into it, so that you are very clear when it comes to that time of setting that boundary with that other person or those other people. Like, you've done the groundwork, you've set the foundation, so then it's just a case of, verbally, or perhaps even, writing it down, maybe sending an email, or, whatever it is, whatever you feel most comfortable doing. It doesn't always have to be, a verbal exchange. You can write it down if that works better for you in this circumstance. So, what excites you about this boundary? So you're thinking about setting this boundary. What excites you about setting this boundary? Is there anything at all? So if there is, note it down. What scares you about setting this boundary? So what is coming up there? What fears have you got? Write it all down. What is the best case scenario? What will be the best outcome for setting this boundary? And then we're going to flip it. What is the worst case scenario? What could be the worst outcome for setting this boundary? How long have you wanted or needed to do this? What has prevented you from doing it, from setting this boundary up until now? Can you let go of past hurts and judgments at this time? And how can you make this happen? How can you set this boundary? So like I said, it may be a case of setting up a meeting with this person or these other people. It might be a group meeting, or just where you're just with that one other person. Or it might be sending an email, or it might be writing a letter, text, whatever it is. What can you do to make it happen? So when I touched on what is the best case scenario, what is the worst case scenario, sometimes when we, have been met with maybe control issues with that other person, or abandonment, or anger or abuse, then obviously we don't want to hurt ourselves. We don't want to get into a place where we're going to be hurt. Or if we really care about that other person, we don't want them to abandon us. We don't want to have this relationship totally break down. But sometimes, if it is a romantic relationship and that other person is not respecting your boundaries, or not respecting you, or it has become abusive or toxic, sometimes it's important to take that step back or get yourself out of that situation in order for the other person to fully appreciate how much they actually love you, and they will then do the work that is needed so that that relationship becomes healthier and less toxic. So if you know that by setting boundaries, or even just thinking about boundaries, there's a lot of abandonment issues coming forward. Perhaps you've experienced abandonment in past relationships or in childhood, then this is an indication that that's where you need to be doing the work. You need to be doing work on your abandonment issues, so that you can step up in a stronger, more powerful way when you are setting these boundaries. So whatever answer has come forward from these questions, there's a little indication there of where you need to be doing the work, where you need to be strengthening up before you actually do take the steps and set the boundaries. So just a reminder here. So you want to know who it's with, so the name of the person or the other people. You want to get clear on the actual boundary that you want to set here. Now it might branch off and there might be a few others coming off the back of this, but just focus on the one for now. You want to get clear on your why, and you want to get clear on your action steps. So how are you going to make this happen? I will leave a note of all the questions that I've asked you in the description, if you didn't quite catch them and you want to do that inquiry. And I'm going to leave that there. If you do need some further help or assistance, then get in touch with me and I'll help you in any way I possibly can. I know it's scary and daunting when you're at that place where you know a boundary needs to be set, but you're a little bit fearful. So if you need a little bit of encouragement, again, these questions will help you there as well. You can do this. It's important you do. It's important you break the pattern of abandoning yourself. It's super important. And remember, when you do it, these relationships are going to be so much healthier, because you're both going to know, where each other stands, basically, what each other needs. And if that other person doesn't respect your boundaries, then maybe that's an indication that you do need to perhaps turn your back and walk away from that situation. Maybe not forever, but maybe for a little while, so that person realizes you're serious, that you're not going to abandon yourself anymore, that you are going to maintain those boundaries. So why do we feel bad? We feel bad because we have become a people pleaser and we have started to abandon ourselves. So that feeling bad, that yucky energy, is actually an internal alarm system going off, telling you that you are abandoning your needs at that time. So that is an indication that you need to do something for yourself rather than doing things for that other person or those other people or that group. So we feel bad because there is an internal alarm system going off telling us that we are abandoning on our own needs. So I'm going to leave that with you today. I'm sending you so much love. I am wishing you a truly amazing day, whatever you decide to do. I hope you get this sorted out. Like I say, I'm here if you need me. Goodbye for now.